Okay, next video here in the second video of my objection handling series here. Going to be going over, quite a bit about, I'm not interested objections, right? You're going to hear this quite a bit. I've heard this several times over the past, several years. So, one of the most common objections here. Now, we're going to talk about a few different relevant responses that might work best for you. Now, each person's different, each industry is different, so you can kind of tailor it to what works for you. Try it out if you want to just test some theories, see what works best for you based on, certain circumstances. So we'll take a look here. So first thing to consider, you really want to know what not to say. That's probably equally as important as what you should say, right? So this is actually kind of funny to think about. So someone says, "Hey, you know what? They say I'm not interested." And then what am I supposed to do? Come back and say, "Oh, well, why not? Why aren't you interested?" That just sounds absolutely ridiculous. And they're just going to shut down because you're basically challenging them, and they're going to get all defensive and argumentative. So they're either going to tell you to get lost, or they're going to hang up, or maybe call you something else before they hang up. So see what happens. But so I wanted to go over the first couple of responses here. This is kind of funny. You may get a chuckle out of these, and it helps kind of lower their guard a little bit. They may not know. They may not expect this. It's going to catch them off guard because they think that, hey, if I say I'm not interested, and then they expect the salesperson to say, oh, okay, great, and then click. No, you want to say something different, something unique that's going to make you stand out, because these guys are getting how many sales calls a day, right? So you have to stand out, do something a little bit different. So you can say, yeah, well, of course not, because if you would have called me, right? So it might give them a laugh, something different. And it may get them to open up. It may not. I've used it a few times. It hasn't worked in my case all the time, but it's gotten a good laugh out of people, and sometimes it opens the door for some more conversation, right? So you can say something like, "Hey, I knew before I called. I figured you weren't interested because you haven't replied to my calls or emails." So you have to think about how you're using your tone and your confidence and how you're really sounding, because a lot of times it's not always what you say, right? It's how you say it. So you can practice these, use a recorder, record yourself, see how you sound, to your friends or family, and if you're really interested in trying to, further your skills, right? So this is something that might work for you. Moving along. Number 3, hey, look, I get it. I didn't expect you to be interested because you don't have the right information to understand us, and what we do. But I do know you're interested in having better retention rates, customer service scores, and an overall more efficiently run operation, right? Assuming this is the right industry you're trying to reach out to. I mean, you can always customize this, right? You can say something along the lines of, hey, looking for, whatever they're looking for in that specific industry. So it's kind of hard to pinpoint, but you can change that around a little bit to tailor it specific for your needs. So after you say that, you can say, hey, which of these would you prioritize as the most important? Okay, so it kind of gets them thinking a little bit, and it does provide a little more value. Maybe thinking about, hey, what are my scores like? What issues do I really have? So even if it may not be one of these, it may trigger a response for them to think of something else that they're having issues with. You can also say, hey, look, I'm not asking you to decide today. I just want to remain a resource moving forward, so that when the time is right and you're looking for new opportunities, you have the information necessary to make an informed decision. So it sounds very direct, very concise, and to the point, and it gets them thinking again too that, hey, you know what? I know that they're not going to move forward today. I know that their answer is no, but you're accepting and you're understanding that. Number 5, this one, honestly, I'm not surprised when I first speak to department heads. They aren't interested until they learn how we can help address this issue, which is causing, what negative response with their company or with their team. You could say, I understand. Let me ask you a question. The next time you're looking for feedback or for this specific software or whatever, could I be the first in line who you speak to, to get an opinion? I don't care for this number 6 response. It doesn't really work for me. It might work for you, but I just wanted to give you a couple different options and scenarios that may or may not work depending on what you're comfortable with. We got to test these out. I don't like this because I feel like it almost lets your status down. It just lowers your status. I don't personally like that method. It doesn't work for me, but give it a shot, see what works best. So before you do end the call, this is something that I wanted to go over with you guys. You want to try to get, before I let you go, do you mind if I send you some information So you have that in front of you when you're ready to discuss. Also, they know that they're about to get off the call, right? So they're going to be like, yeah, sure, or whatever, just to get you off the phone. It just depends on how the conversation's going. You can usually gauge it pretty well. And before I leave here, what needs to happen on your end before you begin looking for a new solution for this or a new option in this specific scenario? You kind of want to know, like, hey, what are they looking for? Why are they really? What's the real objection here? Maybe they're talking about staffing issues, or maybe they're talking about budgeting or whatever. And then if that's the case, and you can kind of go into, you know, you can kind of twist it that way, right? So if they start talking about the budget, they don't have the money, then you can start asking different questions as it relates to that. That's a different video, but just wanted to give you a little bit heads up on that. And then, finally here, you want to ask the qualifying information on the call. So if they're still objecting and you're not really getting very far, and you understand, hey, I'm not going to get the meeting, I'm not going to get the booking or the sale or whatever. Understand that, hey, look, in sales it takes, 3, 4, 5 calls, 3 or 4, 3, 4 or 5 no's, I should say, right, to get a yes. So you just have to kind of acknowledge and agree with them and say, hey, I understand. That way they know, and you know that, hey, you know what? He knows I'm not going to be saying yes today, and just pivot and move on from it. Agree with them that they're not interested, I should say. So tell them that you'll be contacting them in the future. Take notes to the best of your abilities. Find out as much information as you can so you can use that as leverage in further conversations, right? And then you just want to say something like, hey, you know what? When you do actually touch base with them again, in 2 or 3 weeks, you can say, hey, thanks for taking my call. Dave here with such and such company. We spoke 2 months ago regarding some of the inefficiencies you're experiencing with your department, particularly as it relates to your lagging software and how that's causing you to lose time, decreasing employee production, et cetera. So just wanted to see if this still makes sense for us to meet. Does it still make sense to have a discussion? So it's something to consider. Didn't want to spend too much time on this, but wanted to get to the point here and give you some different thoughts and options that you can, hopefully use to your advantage moving forward. So all in all, that's about it. Let me know what works for you guys, what doesn't work. If you've tried any of these, if you think of something different, let me know. I'd be curious to see what you guys have used, what industry you're in, things like that. So all in all, thanks for watching. Stay tuned for further videos, and please be sure to like and subscribe. We'll see you next time. Thanks.